Hello everyone, happy Thursday. I'm Steve, Mark's at work, and this is Smokey Steve and Mark. So, I was gonna rant, but today was actually a good day. It was just a long day. But what it made me think about was how sometimes things aren't always what they appear to be. And this is kind of in the topic of mental health. So, here's what was going on with me today. I was charged with giving a presentation on mental health first aid. Mental health first aid is a mental health tool. It was developed in Australia. Think like CPR, but for mental health. So you're not a therapist. You're not training to be a therapist or a psychiatrist or anything like that. You're just increasing the people who are taking the class. You're helping them increase their noticing skills and trying to get them to be able to recognize if a person needs help with a number of different mental health concerns: psychosis, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, whatever, and do that. So it was an 8-hour training. So I've been standing since 7:30. It's now 5. A lot of people have jobs where they stand all day, so, don't cry for me, Argentina. But it's a little bit out of what I usually do during the day, so my legs are a little stiff. Like I said, it wasn't a bad day as far as people pissing me off or me being irritable, but I was unbelievably anxious about having to do this. I've been thinking about this. I think I mentioned it in a couple videos. I've been thinking about this since last week. So I did what I could yesterday to try to prepare. One of the only things I can do to try to alleviate anxiety is prepare. And I did that as best I could. I went over my stuff a little bit yesterday. I had a co-facilitator, so I wasn't doing this alone. And then went to bed really early last night, for me, like 9 o'clock. God bless Mark, he was so accommodating because I was a basket case. And like Wednesday nights are his last night off because he works 3 days in a row now. So I'm not going to see him for the next few days. But he understood that it was important for me to do like a lot of self-care and things to dampen the anxiety down. So I ate light and went to bed early and then got up at like, I don't know, I usually get up around 8, but I think I got up around 6 just to get my coffee in and whatever. So as to things not looking as they appear, I got up early and I was having my coffee, and a concern I had already in my head was I take some medication when I wake up and it makes me a little more calm. I don't take anything narcotic, but I take something off label to try to help with quashing the anxiety that I have in the morning. I have a weird mixture of extreme despair and keyed up anxiety. So I'm trying to contemplate taking less of it, taking none of it, because I have to also be on and alert and speaking in like an hour and a half. So I take it, and then I think I shouldn't have taken it, and then whatever, I did take it. And get to the room and we're setting it up, and it's a class of about 30 people, and they're all mental health pros and a couple of people that I'm told are important. So got a lot of encouragement from the people I work with. They're great. The vice president, a bunch of other people there, and the co-facilitator was cool. We did this once before. But as it's getting closer, so now we're at 8 o'clock, this thing starts at 8:30, and people are starting to come in, and I don't know anybody in this training at all. So I'm not like seeing familiar faces. And one of the things so I'm going out and saying, "Hi, how are you? I'm Steve. Nice to meet you. Please come in, get yourself some coffee, have a seat." So I've got my game face on. What's really going on in my head is I'm making 300 trips to the bathroom. Well, that's not in my head. I've made 300 trips to the bathroom. At the slightest tinge of feeling like I have to pee, I'm going to go pee, because I've gone so far anxious into my mind that I'm afraid it's going to be like one of those nightmares where you get up and wet your pants in front of everybody. I'm starting to go into this irrational place where I think that is going to happen today. So I want to have the emptiest bladder possible. So I go in, I use the bathroom, I come out. The other facilitator starts first. They seem like a nice crowd. So they're talking and whatever, and I'm barely listening because I'm preparing for my next section of what I'm supposed to talk about. And I'm sitting there sipping my coffee and looking over and maybe helping facilitate an activity or something, and everything looks fine and I look composed, and I had really good reviews the last time I facilitated this. I feel so incompetent sitting there, so unprepared, even though I've prepared, like they're all gonna laugh at me, like they want to see me fail, like they're going to be hanging on my every word to see if I've made a mistake. It was a room full of providers of services. So these aren't people that are uneducated. I'm talking to people with master's degrees about, mental health stuff. Granted, they work in a different discipline. They work with folks with intellectual disabilities. So it's a different field. But I started to feel like, who the hell am I to tell anyone about anything? So as I'm up there trying to look confident and poised and talking, what's inside my head is, who the hell are you to tell anyone anything? By the way, don't wet your pants. I'm having heart palpitations because all I've had is a little bit of coffee and I don't want to drink any fluids because I'm afraid I'll use the bathroom. So, like most presentations, I fumble through the first 10 minutes and stutter and squirm, and that's just how I roll. I usually loosen up, and I did. And get through the morning, and then lunch comes, and timing of this was funny, because it's got to be 8 hours, so you rush here, and then you slow down there, and it's crap. Lunch comes, I'm not eating lunch, because intermittent fasting, but that's the on the surface reason. The other one is, I'm afraid if I eat, I'll get sleepy, and I don't want to be sleepy. I'm afraid if I eat, it'll go right through me, and I'll have to use the restroom, and I can't stop in the middle of speaking to go use the restroom. Everyone has, my mom used to say, their weak organ. And I think I've heard it from other places, too. Some people cluster their anxiety, in their chest hurts. And I think some people, they get migraines. Mine goes to my stomach and my bowels. So if I'm anxious, there's trouble in paradise, down below. And I couldn't eat, And of course, what appeared is I'm intermittent fasting. It's part of my weight loss journey. But the reality today, most days no, but the reality today was I'm afraid to eat because I'm afraid it's going to interfere and just make me more mental. So I skipped eating. And we get through the afternoon, and that was all right. I had to present on a piece that I knew very little about, and I only learned I had to talk about 3 days ago. About opioids and administering Narcan to someone who has overdosed. And I knew precious little about it. So I did my research and got all that together. And I think by the end of the whole thing, I got a few thank yous, and people do facilitator reviews and stuff. And of course I'm hawking to see what they wrote about me. And the ones I saw were pretty good. I had a gentleman come up and say, thank you for your candor, this, that, because I pepper little bits of my mental health experience in it. I'll use myself as an example, or other people I've met, privacy kept as examples too. So everything probably looked on the surface like I came in confidently and spoke to the group and was knowledgeable and not seamless, because there's always hiccups. But the reality inside my head today was that I was a neurotic mess. I was afraid I was going to go to the bathroom on myself in front of a bunch of people. I was afraid to eat because I thought my bowels would evacuate. I was actually having legitimate heart palpitations in the afternoon. And I'm not sure why, because I was most anxious first thing in the morning because it was my first time getting up in front of them. And I just blew the freaking fourth wall at that one. I had said, okay, I used myself as an example in talking about anxiety and stress and talking in front of people. And I had told them, I said, for the first 10 minutes in front of most audiences, I stumble over my words and I get anxious and lose my place. I said, and then I usually find my groove. And just to let them know, this is kind of what's happening to me, just to give them a little insight. But I didn't give them much beyond that. And they kind of laughed like, oh, silly you, you're doing fine. What are you talking about? So I was trying to let them know that I was kind of having a hard time and, but I don't know if it really took for them. So, all that aside, I am now exhausted, mentally exhausted, because maintaining a state of perpetual anxiety for 8 hours is totally freaking exhausting. Between the dizziness, the strained stomach, the heart palpitations, the having to pretend to smile even though I was exhausted, having to not drink too many fluids because I wanted to keep that in check. I mean, I just was fixated on so many different little neurotic things. And that contrasts so much with how I think I presented myself today, that it's interesting how we can put ourselves out there to the world versus what's really going on behind the scenes. Now, I wasn't feeling particularly sick today. This was all circumstantial. Anxiety I have periodically. And this was not anything special, it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary. It was just a job responsibility I had to do that I was nervous about. But what was going on in my mind versus what I showed to everybody were two very different things. And I think that's true for a lot of us. You know, there's our private selves, and then there's our public selves. And my public self, I think, did very well today. My private self is motherfucking exhausted. Absolutely exhausted. I think all I'm going to do is watch YouTube for the rest of the night. I'm going to get a shower, but even that, I love getting a shower, a hot one, but even that feels like it's exhausting at the moment. Mark's at work, so it's just me. Tonight is cheat night. Last night, I wanted to not overeat because I didn't want to feel bloated and full this morning. It would just be one more thing on my mind. So tonight is cheat night. And that's where I think the evening's going to roll. So it's been a day. It's been a good day, it's been a long day, it's been a bad day, it's been all of those things at one point or another. But I do have that kind of tired, satisfied feeling at this point, and that's a good feeling. I have the job well done feeling. I'll find out in a few days when the reviews come in and the evaluations come in how I actually did, because their perception of my performance is what grades it. It's not how I think I did, it's how they think I did. That will decide whether or not I'm asked to do the scan, whether or not I'm asked to do it at a different facility. So I will have to wait and see how that goes. But for my own sense of satisfaction, it's done, it's over with. I don't have to think about it again until June when they want me to do another one. So there we'll go again. So that's all I got, you guys. That wasn't really a rant. I just wanted to share some thoughts about how not everything is quite as it appears. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. You could follow us on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc or on Instagram at SmokeySteveAndMarc. Hit the alert so you know when the new video is coming out. We usually film about once a day. And I will catch up with y'all soon. Stay sane. Bye.